Welcome to another episode of Rim Shots with Sean right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. We're starting to call this the Curtain Call Record Artist segment. I've got Scotty Willard here for, where are you out of, Scott?
Pilot Mountain, North Carolina.
North Carolina, man. I've been there a couple of times. Stillwater Junction. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Well, not so bad, man. It's up here in Canada. It's still pretty warm, so we're gonna take that, man. That'll change in the drop of a hat. So Brian sent your info to me. I had a chance to listen to you guys. I'm gonna go and say it. You're probably not gonna deny it. Southern rock influence.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna guess you guys kind of grew up on the Skinners and the Molly Hatchets and bands like that. Safe to say.
Skinners, Molly Hatchets, a little bit of the blues, a little bit of outlaw country, all the good stuff that they don't like to play on the radio anymore.
Well, you know what? It isn't that funny. I had that very conversation with somebody today. I don't know what it's like where you are. Up here in Canada, we have this thing. It's called CanCon. So basically, they have to play X amount of Canadian artists per hour, but nothing locally if they don't want to. So do you guys have a hard time getting any local radio airplay in your hometown?
We've got a few like independent stations that play our stuff, like 98.1, 96.9, and 95.1, but that's about it. And it's like a very rare random. They might play us once or twice a week, if even that.
Well, I guarantee you guys are getting played in the Rock Rage Radio Network because that's part of the deal, right? So, talk to me a little bit about Curtain Call, because what I love to when I talk to their artists, I just love the feedback that I get about what they do as a team to kind of give artists a hand and getting their music out there, really in a world that's not geared towards the independent artists at all these days.
Well, I mean, as far as John and Brian, I mean, they have basically laid out everything for us, so it makes it a lot easier, because we're also part of the ISSA as well, which also helps independent artists. We actually just won 2024 Gold Band of the Year back in August in Atlanta, which is pretty cool. It's our first music award. We're nominated for 2 more this month in Nashville, 2 Josie Music Awards. But as far as like Curtain Call Records and Rock Rage Radio, they've actually opened up a few doors for us that we wouldn't possibly be able to do, because I've been handling all of our booking and basically everything that deals with our merchandise and everything from day one. We've only been playing live shows since January 1st, 2022 was our first live show. So we haven't been out long, but we've managed to grow our fan base all over the United States and a few overseas, even before we signed with Curtain Call. We have a large fan base and a large following, especially in our region, which is like North Carolina, Southern Virginia, like Northern South Carolina. And our fans, they're great. And with Curtain Call, there's festivals, there's big events that they won't talk to me because I'm not a booking agent. Even though I book us, I'm not a booking agent. I'm not a label person. So there's a lot of big festivals that we haven't been able to get into that Curtain Call is moving us towards that way next year, that we wouldn't have had opportunity without them. And we are extremely greatly thankful for that. We've shared the stage with a couple big international national acts, Blackstone Cherry, the Georgia Thunderbolts, the Piedmont Boys, Marshall Tucker Band this year. We just got through sharing the stage with Raymond the Red this past Saturday. So, we've shared the stage with a couple known big acts, but not at big festivals where there's like thousands upon thousands. I think the largest crowd was when we shared the stage with the Marshall Tucker Band back in April, and there might have been 8,000 people in attendance, and that's the largest crowd we've ever played to.
That's still a pretty good sized crowd, though, right? Like, because and this isn't to diss clubs or anything like that, but it's not a club, right? You're playing in front of, it's massive exposure. I hate to use that term, but it's massive exposure versus minimal exposure in a
Yeah.
shorter period of time. And, you know, you and I've opened for a lot of, you know, I guess bigger bands too, and you know instantly if you're going over with their crowd, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, I guess the whole part of the thing is all I do is sing and write. So, and of course, do all the stuff behind the scenes when we're not on stage. But I mean, when we're performing, I mean, it's my job and my duty to keep the crowd enthralled with us and be able to change at a drop of a hat if they're not feeling, the mood we're in. Then I need to call an audible with the band and let's play something, a little bit different, to draw them back in. I mean, it is my job as a frontman to do that, but it's also as a unity as a band, it's our job to continue to keep the fans and keep the crowd and people that's never heard us, make sure they're a fan by the time they leave.
Part of my partnership with Curtain Call and Rock Rage Radio is to interview their artists and expose their artists to different markets. Like, so I'm up in Canada. I am, global, but it's to expose my viewers to new artists. And as a result, I have the opportunity to hear some of these new artists before my listeners and viewers do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to talk to my listeners and viewers and say what you guys were about and what you sounded like, and I hate to do comparables, but sometimes it's the only way you can, connect the dots. Do a comparable of who you guys are with that they might know.
Well, let's see. Our sound isn't really linked to one particular one. We bounce around a lot, which is fine with us. I mean, but I guess the best way to put it, if if Hank Williams Jr., Leonard Skinner, and Stain had a baby that formed a band, that's what Stillwater Junction is.
And you know what? Very cool music, and you hope to God it looks like their mother, right?
Exactly.
It's a great comparable though, because in your part of the world, that that's a sound that really resonates with people, especially exactly in your part of the world, right? And you're kind of in that lower portion of the United States, eastern seaboard there, and people love that style of music down there.
Oh yeah, well, at first we started out, we was doing more like outlaw and like 90s country, and then I told the guys, I was like, let's transition, please. I love it because that's what I grew up on. I said, and we started bringing in more southern rock and bringing in more rock, and every time we would bring like a new sound, we would modify it and mutate it until it sounded like nothing that you knew the song, but it sounded like nothing you have ever heard before. And that's where a lot of our fans came from, because they say that our covers, I mean, we have a full album out as well, but they say our covers, they literally love to hear our covers because they've heard no one else, including the original artist, do it the way we do it. So I love feedback, and we all love feedback from our fans, because we're basically about our fans, because without them, we don't get to do what we love to do. We're 100% that we support all U.S. military, because without them, none of us would get to actually live in this country and actually be able to do anything that we do. So, I mean, that's what we're all about. We're grassroots, dug deep into Southern rock and outlaw rock. I mean, that's basically what we are.
And what I love about my American friends is that that patriotic sort of tinge you all have. Like, you guys can be on the left or the right side in terms of politics, but the one thing everybody down there always supports is their veterans and that. And I think it's great. We do that in Canada. I sometimes feel we don't do it to the level that we need to. So it's great to hear that, because I have some friends that they do shows for things like that. They have businesses that give proceeds to things like that. So good on you guys. That's amazing.
I mean, we do the same thing. We donate to 2 or 3 different charities that deal with veteran suicide and the awareness of it. Actually, one of our songs, there's 2 versions of it, a regular and an extended version. It's called One of the 22. Actually, gentleman that wrote the original song and then brought it to me, and me and him sat down and spent a couple weeks to go ahead and rearrange it and change a few things, add a few things or whatever. He's actually a military veteran, and the way that he dealt with his PTSD was he loves music. He can't play an instrument, he can't sing, but he can write. Like, and so he has brought multiple songs, and me and him sat down and we worked on one of the 22. And it's a song, basically it tells the story of a boy that has joined the military, you know, fresh ripe age of 18, and his journey through multiple tours, multiple divorces, multiple everything else in his life. It tells a life story of a military veteran. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. If you want to hear it, please go listen to it. But it's basically to raise awareness for veteran suicide. That's what the song was created for, and that's what it talks about.
Yeah, that's because we're not going to go there with this particular interview, but it's always been astounding to me how those folks can go and do some things that they do because of their job and because of their country, and then when they're done, they're just, hey, go figure it out yourself. It just makes no sense. Yeah. But so it's good on you guys for doing that. As we wrap here, Scotty, I want to I always like to we do the comparable thing. Where are my viewers going to find out about you guys? I mean, I have the absolute pleasure of Brian sending me the stuff, and I can go and find you guys. And but where are my viewers / listeners going to find out all about you guys and what you're up to?
We're on all social medias. We have 2 Facebook accounts. We have a personal one, which is Stillwater Junction Music, and we have a business one, which is Stillwater Junction. You can also look us up on our official website, which is stillwaterjunction.com, and that gives you links to everything that's Stillwater Junction, including our online merchandise store, our online dropship coffee company that we have. It gives you like full access to everything that's Stillwater Junction. All of our music is on all streaming platforms. You can find it on everything that streams music. We're on there.
Last question, man. Where did the name derive from? Is that a personal meaning, or is that just something that you guys just kind of came up with?
Back in the day, years ago, before the Prohibition, and after Prohibition, all the illegal moonshiners, they had different code words they used, and actually Stillwater was a code word for moonshine. And then Junction, of course, it's a meeting spot that you come to receive goods and or that people get together. So I have family that was in that field. So
well, there's a connection to Prohibition in Canada too, which we all know about. So it's great.
So I was like, because at first the band members were like, well, let's do it with your name and a band name. And I'm like, no, if we're going to do this, I don't want one single person being singled out. We're a band, will be known as a band, not one person singled out. So we sat down and talked, and I was like, well, how about this? And they was like, all right, cool. Because we were working on our first song, which our first single release, and it's basically, it's called Pour Me Some Moonshine. So, I mean, that's literally where the name derived from, was
love it.
The outlaw life of moonshining.
Love it. All right, Scotty, thank you so much for doing this on the Rock Rage Radio Network, and let's stay in touch, man. I want to see what goes on with you guys. Love what you're doing. Keep it real, brother.
All right, no problem. Appreciate it, bro.
Peace.
Peace.